We all hate traffic jams, but what can be done about it? Number of cars in America keeps rising. It's up by 4 million a year. Every year, people want to own cars and drive places. So what do we do about traffic? Well, liberal politicians and green activists say we need to pressure people to drive less and to get rid of their cars, move to public transportation. So they push higher gas taxes, things like that, and they fund mass transit. But so far, it hasn't worked very well. People didn't rush to mass transit. We still prefer our cars and have traffic jams. Adrian Moore from the Reason Foundation says we could learn from communist China, of all places. What are you, communist China?
Well, you know, China's an interesting place. It's a communist country, but the communism mainly has to do with keeping the Communist Party in charge. And it's such a big country that they do so many things that they get some things right. And it's ironic that the U.S. has a far more socialist transportation system than communist China or, you know, much more socialist France, for example. What do you mean,
socialist transportation system?
We have an entirely government-controlled, owned and operated transportation system in the United States, for which we pay through very indirect means. So we have no idea whether what we're getting for what we pay.
And in China
they have toll roads. Not all the roads are tolled, but China has more toll roads than the entire rest of the world combined. They actually believe that the people who use the transportation system should pay for it, and that it shouldn't be free, and we shouldn't be taxing people who don't use the system to pay for it in order to provide it for free, which is the way we do it in the U.S.
Though it's not totally free because you pay for it with your gas tax.
You pay for it through highly
indirect.
Gas tax is a big part of it, but you pay through it through all kinds of little indirect fees and taxes.
And China has a real problem. Certain cities are adding 1,000 new cars per day.
Yes. It's amazing in the United States. It's amazing in Europe, but it's, you know, quadruple amazing in China. They're adopting cars there like you can't believe. And so the amount of infrastructure they have to build to accommodate that is staggering.
So one city, Chongqing, which is about as big as New York, is building an underground, well, you got us the video. Why don't you describe it here?
It's an underground ring that's connecting underneath the downtown. So that connects all the underground parking structures in that whole central part of downtown. So all that traffic that's coming into park can just go underground and find its parking structure and free the streets up.
Now, this sounds hugely expensive, but in this case, because it's paid for with tolls, it doesn't happen unless some entrepreneur thinks it can pay for itself.
People are willing to pay to get out of traffic. That's one of the biggest things we've learned in the last 10 years.
And a similar underground highway already exists in another socialist country, France. Okay, not totally socialist. They, too, hire private companies to build toll roads.
They built this double-decker underground highway in Paris.
It will now take them 10 minutes for a journey that used to take 45 minutes.
Private operators have more of an incentive to keep traffic moving. The more cars that go through this tunnel, the more money they make. So they clear accidents quickly and find them quickly thanks to 350 cameras they installed inside the tunnel.
Any incident is detected in less than 10 seconds.
They rush to tow the obstacle away. Traffic keeps moving.
Government could do that.
Government could, but they didn't. It was the private sector who said, we bet people would be willing to pay for having that tunnel and turn a 40-minute trip into a 10-minute trip. And they were right. It was a huge success.
And here's another example from your state where the Reason Foundation is based.
In California, instead of building a brand new road, a private company added 2 lanes in the middle of Highway 91. Drivers can use them or not, but if you pay, you get to go this fast. You don't even have to slow down for tolls because they installed improved electronic toll collectors.
I hear people saying, oh, that's not fair. Rich people get to go fast.
Well, it's a choice. You know, before you had the choice of being stuck in traffic or being stuck in traffic. I guess you had the choice of just staying home. But now you have the choice. You can pay a toll and get home on time. And in fact, the data from that road shows that very few people pay every day to use that road. Even rich people sometimes are not in a hurry. Even poor people, sometimes it's worth $6 to get to the kids' soccer game on time or to get to work on time if they're on probation or whatever it may be. Everybody uses these, all strata of society use that road at some points when it's worth it to them to pay. They have a choice they didn't have before.
One more example. In my town, my mayor got publicity this month announcing that his central planners were going to speed traffic by adjusting the traffic lights.
We can make it better.
The video cameras and the other hardware will measure traffic conditions in Midtown and relay that information to engineers who will then change traffic signal patterns to clear up a congested area.
We have the ability to see directly where a particular hotspot would be.
So yippee, government can do it, and there's speeding. Well, we'll see how it works.
Yeah, we'll have to see how it works. That's true. I mean, the idea is fundamentally a good one. They take a bunch of vehicles that voluntarily have a transponder on them, and that gives them enough what are called probes out there on the road to get the computers can figure out where the roads are flowing and where they're not, and the cameras work on intersections to tell you when intersections are gummed up. And you can change the signal lights and change the signs to steer people to other alternatives that are less congested. Even better, your phone or your GPS device in your car can tell you, give you a red, yellow, green on all the streets in Manhattan, and you can see, oh, well, if I cut over a few blocks, I can get on a street that's flowing better.
So that's government allowing it to happen.
It is in this case, though. You've got to, you know, the technology is all privately developed.
Private.
The service is really going to be largely privately provided. It's going to be government created and managed. I say they should just let the private sector do it, not get involved at all. But, you know, that's not their way.
Thank you, Adrian Moore of the Reason Foundation, which does such great work. Coming up, my take on government in our cars. But first, the audience has questions for my guests about things like solving traffic jams and abolishing drunk driving laws. That's next.